T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome back to the Midheaven Podcast, where I'm not allowed to have pumpkins on the fucking table for the Scorpio episode because...
Hey, it's a pumpkin prejudice.
Yeah.
PP.
I tried. I had pumpkins
Word.
everywhere. No, we can't put a white pumpkin up here because that's racist.
It's not inclusive.
It's a non-inclusive pumpkin. And I'm not just saying that. It really is white. If you come to my house, throughout the month of October, there's just more and more and more pumpkins. Like first I started by decorating the fireplace, and then it was like, oh, I'm gonna get some like pumpkin incense and potpourri, and then it was like, oh, I'm gonna find all the different places I can hide pumpkins, and then it became, oh my god, I'm at the grocery store and I have to buy pumpkins every time I'm there. Now I have nowhere else to put pumpkins. I know what's about to be played right now.
Just a white woman, a white woman's Instagram.
So I'm a Scorpio. Welcome to our episode of
Titled Pumpkin Spice.
Pumpkin Spice. Should be Pumpkin Spice.
Pumpkin Spice season.
The sixth fucking Spice Girl. Right. What should we call this? Should it be salty Scorpio season? Sassy Scorpio season?
That's a really good question.
Sexual Scorpio season? Slutty Scorpio season?
Hey, more people be getting laid than normal, so I like that.
I mean, don't be getting pregnant Scorpio season, because then you're going to have a Leo, and we don't need more of those running around. Thanks. Thanks. You thought we were, like, emotional terrorists?
Come and get you a baby narcissist.
I'm always, like, 9 months ahead, too, because I'm like, do I want to risk that? Especially next year, when you're going to have, like, Saturn in the node square Scorpio.
That's actually what I love about being an astrologer, because it's like, oh, if we have a baby, it's going to be this sign. If we have a baby now, it's going to be this sign.
But I'm thinking about the angular nodes and things. Like, I remember 2 months ago, I was like, I can't be slutting it up this month. Like, I'm not about trying to have a Gemini next year. Like, no.
You don't want a gift. I get it.
No.
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
So we're here to talk to you about Scorpio season. Hopefully you guys are liking the content that we've been putting out there. We're getting into the flow now. We're in the 30s of our episodes, which means we're the Midheaven Podcast is maturing. We've gone through
Saturn return.
We went through our Saturn return. We went through our fucking shitty 20s, and now we're a little bit more refined. Now we're drinking wine on the podcast.
A few classic episodes.
So we want to talk to you guys about Scorpio season because, well, I feel like the Libra episode one went over very well, but this October into November, it's pretty fucking scary, right?
To be honest, I feel like out of every season 2021, I've been waiting for Scorpio. I was waiting for Virgo season and Scorpio season, because Virgo season, anyone who's seen me since last year and this year especially, I was like, wait till Virgo season, guys. Wait till Virgo season. The numbers are going to get crunched, and we're going to see that the narratives don't match the numbers. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And so based off of that, I know everything that is going to come to a climax will come to a climax Scorpio season. And that's happening now through Libra. So I'm both excited, but also cautious, because with the opposition to Uranus, we're going to be presented with stuff that we didn't see coming. We couldn't see coming. It's going to be super intense. And I think, like my co-host said, scary.
Yeah, scary. I mean, I think scary because of the aspects to Uranus. Very shocking, unexpected. But also, there's going to be squares to both Saturn and to Jupiter. So situations are going to hit a bit of like a brake gas pedal where it's just like, hold on, we're slowing down, and this is happening.
Gas pedal.
So.
Gas pedal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Thinking about that song. So I'm excited. I'm excited because I feel like excitement, like when I replace fear with excitement, that's how I'm handling Uranus transits in my life right now. Fear with excitement. But I also...
Right.
I think that You know,
Like
Scorpio is like the no bullshit. It's like very Mars Pluto. So it's where everything finally kind of comes together, and it's like, are we gonna let this go and like let it be reborn, or are we gonna burn the fucking house down and make a shit show out of it?
Especially given all the facts and like a lot of relevant details that we didn't expect to came out Virgo season. And so Scorpio is going to be a further psychoanalysis into revealing what was hidden, because now we got the facts. We presented it through Libra, and the results of this. By the way, Libra is the second boss battle. So like the results of that is Scorpio.
Well, and you guys want to think about what happened when Venus was in Scorpio and when it was making oppositions to Uranus and squares to Saturn, because there can be some similar kind of things happening. So that was like everything that was taking place basically from about September 15th up through, let's say, October 1st. As we shoot this, it's actually the end of September. So I like that we're getting into the habit of shooting these early, so it's coming out literally within days of the season. But also, like, we make predictions that actually fucking happen. Like, we talk about stuff that actually really happens. So let's break down the archetype of Scorpio. It's a fixed water sign. It's ruled traditionally by Mars, the god of war, but also Pluto, the god of change, transformation, destruction. And it's fixed, so it's
the scorpion, the snake, the eagle, the dragon. I think it has more animals than any other sign.
Yeah, we have
Constantly
more
transforming.
kind of symbols or totems, because you think like when you go from
Snake,
the
scorpion,
scorpion
eagle too.
to the snake to the eagle to the phoenix.
The phoenix. There we go. Not the dragon. The phoenix.
The phoenix.
Yeah.
It's the levels of, I think, consciousness and maybe reincarnation until the soul evolves. And everybody knows that there's kind of polarity for all of the signs. There's the evolved and the non-evolved. So every sign has that. If you meet a Gemini that's very unevolved, it's going to sometimes be like a little flippant, or sometimes a little bit hard to kind of nail down, or
a fucking liar.
Right. So right. You went there, not me. That was you. But same thing with Scorpios.
Right.
And so I feel like as a Scorpio, which I'm sure we did this during the Gemini, season episode. We talked a lot about Gemini, but as a Scorpio and a Hades baby, I feel the need to basically be like, listen, you can have a shitty run with any sign. Scorpios get a bad rap for like being the shit disturbers of the zodiac. And I'm the first one to tell you, if you are an unevolved Scorpio, you are fucking toxic. But if you are an evolved Scorpio, you're mature, pure, aware, you're super, super loyal, very, I don't know, I would say
And that's why people
noble.
have problems with Scorpio, because Scorpio isn't fake. Scorpio, it's either like every other sign has that like leeway where they can kind of hide in the middle. The energy of toxicity is Scorpio, because Scorpio is purity. So the distortion of that is toxicity. And like Scorpio is so extreme, like you're going to get what they present.
Well, it's
to
the
you.
8th house too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of dealing with the shadow self, dealing with the things, the shadows and the things that people don't want to acknowledge, or, what's kind of hidden in the dark. So Scorpio has no problem going in places that most people would be like, fuck no, I'm not going in that graveyard. I'm not going down that path of talking about my childhood. I'm not going down that dark alley, whatever. But Scorpio's like, yeah, we're going to go there. So Scorpio season, there's no coincidence that, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, this is when, we're coming into fall and we start to physically see the trees die and the leaves fall and the weather changes. And it's like the veil is thinner. There is definitely, you can feel it, much more of a connection to the spirit realm. But this Scorpio season is on the heels of what has been an insane and even borderline, dare I say, apocalyptic Libra season. We don't even know what's happened with the beginning of October. We've only speculated of what's going to happen coming off the heels of a Mercury retrograde, square Pluto. We saw Mars and Mercury cazimi with the Sun in Libra. And I guess really we can't talk about Scorpio season without discussing the full moon that takes place in Aries. And that's happening on October 20th. You want to just wrap on that a little bit before we move into Scorpio season. I'm going to pull it up for you here.
So like the end of Libra coming into Scorpio.
Yeah, so if you see like right here.
Oh, wow. That's definitely, and that's the cool thing about Libra. It is definitively the second boss battle, where Cancer was the first boss battle. And of course, I'm referencing the Pluto aspects. We had the opposition. Now we're having the closing square. And so Libra season is going to really, as a social cardinal sign, air sign, really deal with your bridging of other characters to fight against opposing oppositions or squares that clash with this shared identity. So the last part of Libra season is going to be a crescendo of a culmination of the intensity that makes it a bang. And so like to start Scorpio season off with that brutal Pluto square, to me, this is a period after arguments have been had. I mean, everything with this square is like frightening conversations that it doesn't have to be frightening, because the whole purpose of it is to have the courage. But for some of you, you might be terrified to tell your partner that you don't want to do something or to do something, and it's going to cause friction in that relationship. It doesn't have to be between partnerships too. It could be between like platonic friendships. It could be between long-standing commitments where, inserting a decision that will clash with someone else can very much so impact the relationship. And I think by the end of Libra season is the aftermath of that, and we see the results coming into Scorpio.
It goes off with a bang, because we saw, Mercury go in and out of 23, 4, 5 degrees of Libra square Pluto.
Yeah.
But it starts the very end of Libra season on the 20th of October. You've got a full moon in Aries that's at 27 degrees. It's opposed Mars and it's squared Pluto. So a lot of people are like, boom, here's the ending. So there's like fireworks happening around the 20th in preparation for then the moon to go into Taurus. It will then in the next day conjunct with Uranus, and the sun comes into Scorpio. So Scorpio season is just like off with a bang. Actually, that day, Mars is still in a square to Pluto on the 23rd when Scorpio season begins. And whenever we're looking at Scorpio season, we want to look at Mars, and we also equally want to look at Pluto. Well, Mars and Pluto are in a hard angle to each other. So it's killing off, purging, cutting, severing, burning relationships. So we're in some very heated dynamics when you think about Libra to Capricorn. So it's like, the future of relationships, our diplomacy when it comes to political figures and what's going on within our government, or what's going on even within the legal system. So there's a lot of conflict off the bat with that. And
for the first decade, for sure.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, Libra is the gateway to the gods here. If you think of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, all of these zodiac signs represent aspects in our society that we see. Before you now go into Scorpio, which is purely unconscious, you don't really see Scorpio. It's like a quality of one's psychology that's more hidden. It's occult. And that's because no one really knows that Scorpio is still a mystery. Science is not caught up to Scorpio. No one knows who Scorpio really is.
That's what we're good at. That's what we're good at. You got to keep your fucking mouth shut. You can't give away too much information, otherwise you're gonna get
Y'all
got.
So mysterious. My younger sister is a Scorpio, and one day, like, she told me, when I turn 18, I'm gonna turn into a mermaid. And ever since she's turned 18, I'm like, so are you a mermaid? She's like, what are you talking about? I never said that.
More like a siren, but
right.
Okay.
I mean, Pisces. I know the Pisces sirens too. Y'all are dreamy, and then you cut their head off. But yeah, I mean, we have to respect that. And I think people disrespect Scorpio by trying to solve the mystery. Sometimes you need to leave a mystery. Well,
that's where Scorpios get nasty. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I grew up in Arizona, so I grew up around a lot of scorpions, and like, it's very rare that you just walk around and see a scorpion. Usually you have to like pick up a rock, or you have to disturb something, or they're like hidden somewhere underneath a box in a garage. So unless you go looking to bother them, they usually are kind of hidden and you don't see them. But if you do happen to pick up a rock or a box and you find them, they fucking throw their tail up and they're like, I'm gonna fight you. right? So it's kind of the same thing with Scorpios. Like, if you leave them alone, like, they're fine. But as soon as you start coming up in their personal space or asking questions or making them uncomfortable, you're going to see a side to them that you really aren't crazy about. And they start becoming a little confrontational.
Especially when you try and peer into their secrets. Which I love, once again. Like, this isn't... I don't think this is typical to every Scorpio, but, like, with my younger sister, again, like, if you were to even enter her room, like, she'll blow up for you for blowing up her privacy.
Yeah,
like,
we know usually. I'm such a psycho that, like, I will come in my room and I can tell if something's out of place.
Exactly.
Like, if somebody moves something and they put it back, even if it's in the same spot, if anything, even if I'm suspicious that something's been moved, I'll be like, were you in my room?
And extremely, too. The same woman I'll catch in my room reading my diary, like, oh, yeah, I read your shit. It's like, what the fuck? What are you doing?
That's such a Scorpio thing to do. It's like, don't come up at me, but I'm going to know everything about you. But Scorpios do that in order to feel safe because we're paranoid because we think everybody's out to get us or that, like, everybody's going to, like, betray us. So we're constantly 3 steps ahead in preparation. Being a Scorpio, I would not wish that on anybody. I'm constantly...
My Scorpio friend is always, like, keying me into, like, the secrets between relationships. Like, oh, that person threw a subliminal at you. And I'm like, really? And I felt, like, so naive until, like, he really initiated me into that wisdom. So half of the time I'm like, is he just paranoid or is he seeing some shit I'm not seeing? But I've learned to slowly trust it.
No, we're just constantly reading between the lines.
Y'all
to the
really
point
do
where
see it, too.
We're like, what is that supposed to mean?
Right.
And most people wouldn't even, like, catch things.
Well, I'm usually opposite. More I'm like, it doesn't have to mean anything. It's just what it is.
There's a meaning to everything. And people are fucking super fucked up between the lines.
That's what I learned.
People will tell you exactly what they're saying through their tone and also, like, just subliminal shit.
A lot of, and, like, it's like the world of the subliminal was opened up to me through y'all because, like, he'll just be like, oh, that's what this person meant. Oh, you just got subbed right now. What? How? It's like, wait, this person doesn't even know me. How did... So it's like, wow. And it just made me realize, no wonder y'all, like, feel the way you do, but it just makes it a lot harder to trust. And it just helps you understand why.
This is just really not your stereotypical Scorpio season where I feel like, you know, a lot of things die off in secrecy or stuff kind of just gets let go or, like, people blow things up and they end it and then you don't get a lot of clarity. A
lot of that's because of the Aquarius square.
Exactly. Right. So then we see the sun come into Scorpio on the 23rd.
Which, by the way, just for context, the last Scorpio season we had with the Saturn square was 30 years ago. Right? Well, oh, I see what you mean. Well, Saturn was already retrograded back into Capricorn.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So it was really 30 years ago, 92, 91, and then 91. And then the last year we had Jupiter was 12 years ago. So, like, this is a 12-year cycle return and a 30-year cycle return. The Scorpio season is not going to be like before, especially with Uranus and Taurus.
Well, this is a day to watch on the 29th when the moon...
That's my sister's birthday. Shout out to Ashley.
When the moon in Leo squares the sun, opposes Saturn, and also squares Uranus. And it's the setup for then on the 30th when the sun comes to square with Saturn. So the sun square Saturn is like something that's going on secretive in the shadows, and Saturn says, no, you got to come out with it. No, we're not. Or maybe it's the suppression of something that wants to come out. I'm watching Mercury come back into the square with Pluto.
Yeah.
And then Mars enters Scorpio, and Mars will be in Scorpio for the rest of the year. And then the sun... we've got the new moon that's in Scorpio at 12 degrees in opposition to Uranus and Taurus.
So Mars isn't going to Capricorn until next year? Mm-hmm. Oh, so the Venus goes direct next year.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
another younger sister story. My sister will not let me read her natal chart. Like, every time I try...
Scorpio?
Yeah. When I try and ask my mom for her time of birth, she's like, don't tell him, Mom! He's gonna read astrology! And I'm like, yo, just need to know. So I'm like, you're such a Scorpio. You let me know. But I'm gonna find it one day.
That makes sense. I mean, you don't want your natal chart just floating around. I mean, that's
She don't even believe in astrology.
Cosmic social security
She's
number.
a Christian now, so like it's of the devil. She doesn't want anything to do
Probably
with it.
Scorpio rising.
I'm curious. Like she's Sag moon, so she has like that inner fire. But like, yeah, I'm just curious. I wouldn't be surprised if she's Scorpio rising. She's definitely
Maybe.
Yeah.
Those are some real Scorpio Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun.
Oh.
So watch for that new moon on November 4th.
Which is going to be opposite Uranus. What do you
Yeah.
feel about that? I think that's going to be one of the
Well, it's
most
opposite
intense
Uranus,
new
and
moons of the
Mercury
year.
is coming out of the square with
Yeah.
Pluto, but the ruler is
And
Mars.
Venus is going to be 29. Wow.
Yeah. So if you look at what's happening, and I'll do a video on that on my channel. I'm sure he'll do stuff too, but Mars is closely in the mix. You've got Mars and the Moon and the Sun all in Scorpio, and they're building into.
And they're all direct now. Pluto,
Yep.
Jupiter, and Saturn.
So it's almost like when planets square Saturn, there's a limitation or a suppression, but then once everything passes about maybe 10 degrees and it starts building into the square with Jupiter, it's going to release. So there's something happening that's kind of brewing around early November, and then by the time the Sun comes into the square with maybe Jupiter and the Moon on the 11th, then we start seeing all of these planets square with Jupiter, and then it becomes almost like magnified. So Mars, Mercury, the Sun are all following in suit, coming out of the square with Saturn after the 11th. Certainly mid-November is kind of like this sweet spot.
We also have to take into account the North Node and the new moon in Taurus, where
The
it was
full moon in Taurus? Or no, the new moon in Taurus.
where it was conjunct Uranus.
Yep.
Because that new moon in Scorpio is going to be completion of that cycle.
Yes.
So whatever you started 6 months before, especially if you are investing in crypto stocks, real estate, anything financial, I think you're going to have great returns. Very great returns.
I hope so. That's what I'm hoping for. And
You
then
have to loss a little bit first, but
I think the most interesting thing is going to be maybe around the 17th, just before the eclipse in Taurus, where we have
Jupiter square.
no Mars in opposition to Uranus with the moon. So November 17th is a day to watch
Yeah,
as like
that's true.
fireworks just before the eclipse that's going to happen, and that will be on the 19th, and that will
So
be.
Mars will be sextiling Venus too. That's
see.
very interesting.
That's going to be right around here. Yeah, the 19th, there's going to be early morning on the 19th, an eclipse in Taurus, 27 degrees, conjunct the star Algol, and it's going to square Jupiter.
So okay, and I've always wondered about this. So if they're within a 10-degree orb, it counts as an eclipse.
It's still an eclipse, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an eclipse in Taurus.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got an eclipse on the 19th. It's going to sextile Neptune and trine Pluto. And that's a really powerful eclipse because of, I think, the conjunction of that star. I think you're going to see a lot of people losing it, losing their head. We talked about this previously, Algol. I'm going to do a video on this, but I feel like it's also possibly with the square to Jupiter, a lot of people freaking out and panicking over the state of what's going on politically or globally around the world, and how people are responding to some kind of news that comes out, or even anything revolving around some kind of like lockdown or limitations or social limitations. People are going to go, fuck no, we want the truth, because it's on the axis of Taurus and also Scorpio. I imagine it's going to create some pretty colorful financial news out in the world.
And this will be after the whole October 18th thing.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get more insight.
So we're not even there yet, but
Yeah.
that's going to be the full moon that's happening in Taurus, and then shortly after we'll have another eclipse that's going to be in Gemini, but we'll cover that next month. I think really just the long and short of it is at least the second half of Scorpio season, once we get past about 20 degrees, the positive thing is that we're going to have like the Sun and Mercury in a sextile to Pluto, so it's allowing us to uncover whatever we need to uncover to actually create change, and it's also in a trine to Neptune, so there's some spiritual clearing, some healing, some spirituality, some consciousness, some visions and things that are tied to it, but the astrology only gets crazier as the rest of 2021 goes on.
That's what I genuinely appreciate. Like every single day moving forward, it just gets more and more extreme, more and more intense. It's like
like a
every day.
reality show, and you never know what the next plot twist is going to be, basically.
Waking up every day like, what's happening today? What's happening today? It's just
Yeah.
like ridiculous. And the first decan in Scorpio too, with that quincunx to Chiron and Aries, is going to, because once again, like that's another aspect. Like we're just fresh into Chiron and Aries, so it is the first time Chiron has like kind of flirted with the second decan. And we know that it's 8th house to Chiron. So this is also healing. You'll find that you're able to connect more intimately with people who you're growing closer to. Whatever blockages may have come within your own vulnerability of expressing your identity, you're able to express it. You're able to be more of yourself with people you're close to than ever before.
You're going to see some yods also because of the sextiles to Gemini. I mean, this is kind of really out there, but Chiron is going to sextile still the North Node in Gemini. It's going to sextile Ceres. It's going to sextile Lilith, and it's going to create yods to Scorpio. So when you have a yod, you have a sextile between two placements and then a point that's going to take place in Scorpio. So if you are, if you are an Aries or a Gemini or a Scorpio, pay attention, because there's yods that are setting up that's pointing to Scorpio as kind of like the remedy, right? Or the solution or the healing, revolving around what's changing, dying off, transforming. And I have planets, personal planets in Aries, so I'm definitely seeing this. Like big time, some kind of clearing.
Chiron's going to be on my Mars.
Mars rules your 7th, right?
Mars, okay.
So it's about
Scorpio,
relationship healing.
I might get rid of my dry spell. That's very exciting.
Chiron transits are not to be underestimated. In this last year, I've been kind of keeping tabs and keeping track of clients who are having big Chiron transits on their North Node or their Sun or their Moon or their Venus or their Ascendant, and noticing that while it's painful and it makes you feel like you're going through something on your own, there's a lot of healing that's coming. And that's what I love about Scorpio and Aries is the very physical, and then Scorpio is the very metaphysical. So it's almost like Scorpio can be the poison or the remedy. It could.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like Scorpio is the lethal dosage. It's the pure substance. So like, it's the pure uncut Coke. It's the pure.
That's true. We only like good Coke. Yeah.
That's the obsession that comes with Scorpio. It's that heroin addiction. It's the purity where you have to dilute it before you send it, and before it's diluted, that's Scorpio, the lethal dosage where you can die death. So I mean, that I respect, because you get that pure energy, but it also reflects in the unadulterated, no mask intensity in this social complex of feelings. Because if you think Cancer is an individual emotion, Scorpio is a bunch of individual emotions shared socially. This is how we can trust each other sexually. But if we think, outside of what's happening in the world, this is a period where you're coming into so much more understanding of the meaning of all your partnerships with people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see the 8th house as the real merger, right? They say like 5th house is falling in love, sex, like dating. 7th house is like marriage. But the 8th house is really marriage. The 8th house is like
shared
you talk
assets.
about your share assets, you get on each other's insurance, you have unprotected sex, you get pregnant, you have to talk about your debt, your credit score. I mean, the 8th house is, Scorpio really is more about that real merger, where Libra is
Results
more,
of partnership.
do we look good together?
Exactly.
Are we going through...
Or their agreements, right? What you agree to and how.
So the 8th house or Scorpio Pluto placements is going to be really interesting. I think what's awesome about this period of time at the end of Scorpio season is the sextiles between Mercury and the Sun and Pluto and Capricorn. So there's like this mutual kind of like agreement where it's like powering up and funneling into each other to come up with something strong and sensible that is also connecting to Neptune and talking about the visions. Keep in mind also, guys, at the tail end of Scorpio season, Venus is in its shadow. I believe Venus is going to go retrograde somewhere around 11 degrees. So it hits the shadow right around the 18th.
You mean it's going to go direct?
It's in the shadow. So Venus will drop back down to, I think, 11 degrees.
No, because you said it's going to go retrograde.
Oh, yeah, it will go retrograde. So Venus will go retrograde in December, but Venus is now in its shadow period because it's around 11 degrees of Capricorn. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to retrograde back to 11.
Yes, so it's in the shadow. So the Venus retrograde shadow actually starts around the end of the end of Scorpio season, and that's going to be around the 18th, right around the eclipse, which is interesting when you think about the days following.
You'll probably meet the love of your life that you don't know you're going to break up with yet.
Oh my God, Venus retrograde. That's what it is, though. That's literally what it is. Don't say that, because it's going to retrograde really close to my personal planets.
Oh,
it's actually going to
no.
stop at 11, so it's not going to hit my Saturn or my Neptune.
Oh, phew.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
thank God. But
That's so interesting.
yeah.
But like the shadow period, right? It's like you're being introduced. You don't even know the retrograde lesson yet, so you can be introduced in the shadow towards.
Yes, usually a lot of the things pertaining to the Venus retrograde you'll start becoming aware of at the end of November. So, Venus in Capricorn is all about Saturn things, longevity, stability, commitment, integrity, work stuff. We're going to see a lot of stuff pertaining to, at least in the U.S., our financial situation and our situation revolving around the budget and debt and big banking. Like I've said time and time again, I really think this eclipse that's coming, because it's conjunct Algol, trine Pluto in Capricorn, you're going to see massive corporate layoffs, and I think you're going to see huge federal shutdowns, and even like letting go of heads of state, or they're going to kind of wipe the slate and get rid of a lot of people who are high up in government, or there's going to be, I think, big corporate layoffs. I think there's going to be big companies that are going to lay off, and we're going to realize the result and the effects of having been in a pandemic for almost 2 years, the fact that we've got a lot of people who are still in unemployment. That tidal wave is not going to hit until about December of 2021, going into the new year.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too. The last time people got masked and had the pandemic, wasn't it 2 years? And after 2 years...
The Spanish flu? It was 2 years, yeah.
2 years, okay. That's interesting. And, Pluto in the tarot is awakening. So this is also revealing hidden secrets in your relationships with other people that maybe you never expected to come out, that really now reevaluate how you look at people, how you even look at dating, how you look at connecting with people. But one thing I didn't notice until right now, which I'd love your insight on, is Juno is entering the chat in Capricorn.
I know. I'm excited for that, because all my Venus is in Juno. When these eclipses are happening, it's like within a week of me getting married. So I think I'm kind of relieved, because I booked it, but I didn't look at the astrology. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to have a human experience. I'm going to get married. I'm not going to look at the astrology. And then when I did look at it, I was like, it was like that 1 week window where things were kind of tame. Juno in Capricorn, what can I say? I mean, thankfully we're getting out of this period where Juno has been in opposition to Lilith for quite some time. So we've seen a lot of marriages ending because of mistresses and twin flame shit and people being separated. And once Juno gets into Capricorn, I feel like it's going to stabilize a little bit. I'm excited to see it move up in degrees and come into some trines with Uranus. I think that's going to be great, because we're going to see a lot of people who are going to quickly move into partnership, not just marriage or romantic relationships, but business partnerships, things that are unconventional, different, and are new.
Co-signing on the lease or the
Juno in Sag, especially because it's just gone through the kind of the terrain of all of the eclipse path and also the South Node. I think a lot of Sagittariuses and Geminis have gone through a lot of breaks and patterns in relationships, and a lot of people who have really prominent placements in Sagittarius or in Gemini have kind of realized that, maybe there's another partner out there that's better for me. Maybe there's somebody out there who's a better match. So it's been challenging for a lot of you guys, but I'm glad to see it, I think, come into that. I'm curious to see what happens as Juno comes into squares with Chiron. That's something else that I think about, and how that's going to kind of play out, because I feel like Chiron's like, I got to do my healing, and Juno's like, okay, but I need you too, or I need assistance, or, let me help you. So, I mean, that's not a huge aspect, but I think we'll see it more.
Could be the other way around too, where you're questioning a partnership, and then you kind of have a break where you see other options, and then you realize, the grass is not greener. Right, the partnership is.
That'll be interesting, especially in December, the end of December, when Venus and Juno and Mercury and Pluto and the Sun are all in Capricorn. If you're somebody who has any prominent Capricorn placement, or maybe you're a cardinal rising, there's going to be gangbusters of planets in Capricorn that really need to change and transform. And I think a lot of Capricorns and Cancers alike are going to go through big changes revolving around relationships and their identity and whether or not they're open to love. But Juno notoriously, does very well with aspects to Jupiter. So with Juno going into Capricorn, that's great, but we see Jupiter move into Pisces, and then there's going to be some sextiles here. So I feel like then like Juno's doing well, but Juno's
So
very...
Juno will catch up to Jupiter at some point.
Eventually, yeah, but Juno's also very jealous.
Right.
Right? So when we see, Juno and Venus and Pluto all conjunct in January, and then there's this Venus retrograde, we can see some very jealous wives, some very jealous women, some bosses.
Is she jealous, or is Jupiter just a cheating horse?
Both.
It's both. There
It's
we go.
both. Jupiter puts his dick anywhere he can, but Juno is the good wife. Juno represents the wife that is considered perfect. So Juno stayed with Jupiter even in spite of all of his infidelities and everything that he did, and I think...
See, ladies, just because he cheats doesn't mean you gotta...
Hell no, you burn his fucking house down. Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
You gotta forgive your man for cheating because he didn't want you to find out. That means he cares
cheat
about
back,
you.
ladies. Cheat back. Cheat back. That's the only way.
He spared your feelings.
You're not an advocate for cheating back?
I mean...
If you cheat and somebody cheats back, you're gonna get mad?
I mean...
Fuck you.
I feel like that wouldn't be under... I feel two wrongs don't make a right. You feel me? So like...
No, but
maybe-
eye for an eye.
Makes everybody blind. Candace is like, well, we blind in this bitch.
Whatever. Obviously, you're blind if you don't see these messages.
Right. Shout out to Libra. It was my Libra male friend who like broke down to me why men do this. So he was like giving me a rational explanation of like, oh yeah, like,
Why men cheat?
Basically, like men don't cheat emotionally. Like they do it just to get it off, but we still come back to our partners. And the Gemini in me is like, this makes sense. The Venus and Taurus in me is like, this motherfucker. You think he running that game, but
at least Venus is second house to your sun. I feel like people who have Venus behind their sun have a harder time with some of that stuff. And like,
I'm monogamous mainly because one person is already like a full-time job. Yeah, like I couldn't do the polygamy thing. It's a job. And
I feel like men cheat because they're trying to escape death and they want to feel young. That's why I feel like men cheat.
Plus variety. They don't want to feel like they missed out on something that they could.
Yeah, but that's what your 20s are for. Just like bang it out and get it over with and commit.
Well, not everyone has that.
Oh, Mike didn't have his whole phase. Apply within.
Well, it's worth it. I'm not a single father, so there's that too. I feel like if I was active, I would have got someone pregnant. At least in high school. I don't know.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a blessing in disguise. And my 30s are my new 20s to me.
Yeah,
So
it's not over till you hit like 40. Just get back out there.
I got Saturn in my 8th, 9th, so I had to wait.
Oh,
for
it's
my
your Saturn.
turn. Trust me, your boy got limited. But
Pluto's on your Saturn. You just need like a dominatrix to just like
I need to
lay
be
you out.
broken in and turned, and my carnal demon come out. Cause I feel like I'm a bit vanilla too. Like I don't really like eat booty or anything like that. I don't do all that nasty stuff. I mean, I'm not just a pro missionary guy, but I need.
No,
that.
I like missionary. I want you to look me in the eyes and just beat the pussy up. You know, like I feel like there's something really good about
Like
that.
No, I fucks with that. Yeah. And it's a workout too, so you gotta laugh. So I definitely feel. See, the Scorpio season is getting sexual, but
Yeah, squares to Uranus. I guess good luck, guys. Get freaky, enjoy.
But that's the thing too. I feel like this season, because of like everything, especially with the aqua squares, like people's sexuality, we might even see sexual movements spur that kind of like go against what's seen as normal. I feel like people will be so much more open expressing their sexuality, especially coming out of that weird period where people felt like they can't say too much in this Me Too
Or we've
era.
been in a pandemic for almost 2 years,
That
and people
too.
are afraid to be face to face and have sex with other people.
Especially, millions of men being able to pay monthly subscriptions to watch women get naked on OnlyFans, even though porn is free. And it's just like, but I mean, even with that,
But
like,
you can't message porn stars. So.
exactly, the desensitization. And I was watching that earlier too, about someone was casually explaining Twitch streamers, and he made a funny joke about how like people get used to seeing you and they think that you know them, when to you they're just another viewer. And it's like you pay someone enough money.
It's like that on YouTube though.
Exactly, but you pay a Twitch streamer for women. Like you said something about women Twitch streamers. Like it's hard to beat them, but they do get paid. But it's like you pay enough money and they're obligated to be your girlfriend. And it's just like that false pretense.
It just
like
allows guys to
talk
continue to
them.
just fucking be lazy and live in this false fantasy where they just fucking have a relationship with their hand and watch a screen.
That's not lame, my friends. It is modern advent of technology. And soon the sex dolls will come through.
Do better.
For the men and women.
I like the
But
fact
that's
that we've
true.
had a pandemic because I feel like it pushes men to realize that you got to try harder. Like you
But
actually
that's the
have
thing.
to.
Hard times make strong people.
Right.
And this is the first time we're ever having social commentary like this. Like men before never had to deal with this. So it's almost as if like there needs to be that jolt to push men. But that's not what's going to happen because more men and women don't give a fuck. And so like we're going to see more of a deterioration of these social principles.
I'm excited to see what happens as a result of some of these squares because it's
Yeah.
definitely going to produce fireworks. Thankfully, we have the squares to Jupiter after the squares to Saturn. So what seems like a restriction actually is going to be, I think, a bigger kind of open.
And we have to remember, I love that you said this too. It's actually also, because statistically, correct me if I'm wrong, women watch more porn than men. So, it's...
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
It's
I
a
know
lot
that
of
if women
women
do
with
watch porn,
vibrators,
they
too.
want porn that has a fucking plot. We don't want to just watch somebody get fucking railed against a bedpost.
That's the
we
type of
wanna
porn I'm gonna make.
Like,
Story time.
oh, they were into each other for 3 years and she worked in accounting and he was married,
my
but he went through like
God.
we like a plot. Like women like a plot, you know?
But we have to acknowledge this sexual desensitization is on both sides where, there's so much more tools being used. I think it's men and women that are just getting used to not being in person.
But what about like all of this stuff going on culturally where it's just been a big thing the last decade or more where sex without intimacy just leads to people who become disassociative and not emotionally available.
No, that's
Obviously,
facts.
when you're going
that's
through
been
sexual
decades in the making,
partners
too.
and having sex with random people and not having
True that.
a real
True that.
union or real intimacy beyond the physical connection, you're going to have a lot of empty people.
Absolutely.
So what are we doing to restore intimacy?
But that's the thing. We also have to, and that's the best question. And hopefully, this Scorpio season we explore it. I think what's not being addressed is the environmental, psychological factors that influence men and women to escape. Because we just see the symptoms. We're like, "What's wrong with you? Go out." But what's influencing
A pandemic,
generations of people to
men
just
with bad credit scores, micro penises? I mean, the list goes on. Really, sorry. I'm just being honest. A lot of other people would agree with me
my
with
God.
this because in modern day, where like women can't.
Hey, I'm
support
ugly. I
themselves-
don't have a bad credit score or I'm just ugly. That's it. I got 2 out of 3 though. It is what it is. But I mean, yeah, these are real things. These are real dilemmas. These are real dynamics. Yes, the motion, it's about the motion in the ocean. You can be good with 4 inches, but size does matter, my friends.
With that being said,
Yeah.
hopefully Scorpio season is good to you. Let us know, what are your Scorpio placements in your chart? What are you excited for? Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out our subscriptions, support our channel, make it possible for us to keep doing what we're doing. Let us know, what do you want us to make topic episodes about? And be sure to subscribe so you can check out our lives where we do live readings every time we do these tapings. We do it usually bi-weekly, and I'm sure we'll be back pretty soon.
Yep.
All right, guys. Enjoy Scorpio season. May the force be with you. We'll see all of you guys very soon. Take care.